Welcome to This Week in Black America. I am your host, or one of your hosts, Brother Deshaun. It is good to see you. My brother Curtis Cheatham is in Jamaica right now celebrating a decade of Black love with his wife, Kay, and certainly wish them the best. Have fun, brother. And I got a lot to bring you this week. If you don't know, if this is your first time here, this is where we catch up on all things that happened this week and specifically how it affects us here as Black Americans. Because again, things happen, but depending on who you are, your culture, your group of people, it can affect you differently. So, a lot to discuss. President Trump is handing out pardons like it's Prime Day. Like we giving out draft tickets, NBA YoungBoy, the Chrisleys, and more. Walk. Who's next? Are we administering justice or are we buying popularity? We're going to discuss that. Elon walks out after his tenure as a special government employee. Mixed reviews on how he did with his job and at his role in Doge, rather. Google VO3. There's some things that I want to show you all that are going to be scary. I get various messages from my father all the time about things that are going viral. And I'm like, Dad, that's AI. And anyone who's watching AI, you kind of know it's AI, but it's over for us knowing it's AI. This can create full audio, video deepfakes with voices, sounds, and scary precision. We're going to get into that. Harvard finally hands over slave images. A 15-year-old battle comes to an end. Sinners, the movie Sinners, continues to crush and break records. White supremacists march in Kansas City. Tell y'all about a funny event that happened to me in Mexico. I was in Cancun the last couple days, and I actually just seeing what happened in Kansas City. I'm gonna tell y'all a funny story that I didn't know until just now, and we'll talk about that. And I want to close with a big question. Would you take $1 million to leave America and help build a new Black-led country or world? All this and more on This Week in Black America. As I said, I am your host, Brother Deshaun. Our show producer and co-host Curtis Cheatham Jr. is on vacation. We have a lot to discuss. If this is your first time here and you're going to spend some time with us, I always tell you, you are our co-host. A lot of times we catch up on stuff that you share through us and to us. So don't be afraid to comment, join the talk. We're not here to talk at you. This is a dialogue, and the more that you interact, the better the show continues to be. So if you are watching us we're on the Brother Deshaun Facebook channel. We're also on the Hello Black America YouTube channel. And let's get right into it. Pardons. NBA YoungBoy. The Chrisleys. Now, Todd and I forget Todd's wife's name. Hang on one second. I watched the Chrisleys, by the way. Julie. Very likable people. Very, very likable people. Let's start out there. Who watches the Chrisleys? Let me just get a little opinion on who watches the Chrisleys. Because literally, Julie, yep. Good to see you. Checking in. You just can't enjoy vacation. Gotta come check in, brother. Good to see you. So when you consider that these are likable people, me and my wife watched them all. From the moment they started. Their children, their grandchildren. So, they end up getting, jammed up with tax-related charges or something in related to mortgage fraud to the tune of a lot of money. They end up getting sentenced. I believe Todd's sentence was significantly long. I believe Todd got at least 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. The point is, they just went in. They're out. NBA YoungBoy, he was sentenced to 2 years for gun-related charges. With his time served, he came home. He had 5 years of probation. He's done. Clemency. Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover. If anyone who's heard one of Rick Ross's biggest songs, the rapper Rick Ross, I think I'm Big Meech. Larry Hoover. Whip and work. Hallelujah. This man is, when it comes to, I would say, popular culture in the Black community, there's almost no one who does not know Larry Hoover. One of the founders of either the Gangster Disciples or either the BDs or the GDs. It's two groups of gangs in Chicago. Founder. Now, of course, when we look at the founders of some of these organizations, the Bloods, they say it was originally, Brothers United. Crips was originally Community Revolution in Progress. We could say brotherly love, overcoming oppression, destruction was what the Blood stood for. But we know that it went to a violent outcome, regardless of how it started. All three of these people who had sentences are now free. And the question is, are we administering justice here, or are we buying popularity? Because here's what we got to consider, and here's what I like you to consider, and I like to get some opinions on it. All of these people have massive followings, massive. And one of the things that I had discussed with Curtis months ago, this was actually when President Trump first got in, and we saw that he did not get the popular vote among Black people. Most Black people did not vote for him. And my question was, okay, do we think he's gonna not care and just say, let me just keep doing what I do? Or do we think he's gonna make some strategic moves that will buy a lot of Black popularity and garner a lot of Black people to give him an opportunity? And what I was saying is because the way his team moves, if you look at how his team moves, they're not stupid. They are very much on the pulse of culture. Very much on the pulse of culture. I said, if he can do the right pardons, he's gonna get waves of people in chunks. Waves. So you look at somebody like NBA YoungBoy. Who's NBA YoungBoy's fan base? For the most part, the youth. Who's NBA YoungBoy? Now, who's Todd and Julie Chrisleys fan base? Millions of people, all races. Who is Larry Hoover's fan base? The ingrains of Black culture? Like he's weaved into the fiber of Black culture? We got to consider this. Do we see this pardon move being something that we can see buying a significant amount of popularity? Or do we think it's going to fall flat? And my question is this just the beginning? Who's next on the pardon list? Because let's just say that he sees the popularity that he gains from pardoning certain influencers, not just people who have had, because there were a couple people who were pardoned that were just not so much big scale people. In fact, there was two people who actually plotted to kidnap, I believe, a governor. Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to pull up the article, but two people were plotting to kidnap a politician. Their pardon, but these weren't as popular. So now, if we can see that we can buy public opinion because we're in a world where people like to see glitz, glamour, and the latest social media posts and the latest viral posts, if this thing works for us, what's to stop us from pardoning like a Diddy? Is Diddy next? Because if NBA YoungBoy gets us a good amount of the 25-year-olds and younger, and Todd and Julie Chrisley gets us a good amount of white America and people who love wholesome reality TV, and then Larry Hoover gets us a good amount of black street credit, what would Diddy get us? Rhetorical question, but it's not a rhetorical question because I want to hear your opinions on it. What would pardoning Diddy get us? What would happen? You tell me what you think a Diddy pardon would do for President Trump. Nothing? Or would it be like, whoa, I don't know if this guy is really against blacks. And I think they're going to use this NBA YoungBoy and Larry Hoover as a test case to determine if this thing is worth doing. Because what does it cost them? Did they have to write a $500 million check for this, y'all? Did they have to go in and go to Congress and say, you know what, y'all, we got to pass a huge budget to buy this popularity? Or can they literally, with the stroke of a pen, get millions of people to say, oh, you know what, maybe this guy isn't that bad? So I'm curious, what would a Diddy pardon do? And who do you think could be next on the pardon list that if this continues, because we know that this administration is very much, they know how to entertain. They know how to keep eyeballs on them. They know how to get more eyeballs. So who would be the next person? Because I'm gonna tell you, Larry Hoover was on my list 6 months ago. I said if they pardon Larry Hoover, they're gonna get some people. Kanye's already rallying. Drake did the concert with Kanye. Larry Hoover, free Larry Hoover. All of those people who came to the free Larry Hoover concert, you gotta realize they like, what you gonna tell them about President Trump right now? He's racist. He just freed one of our most popular figures in you know, whether you agree he should be a popular figure, that's not the question. Who's next on the pardon list? Something to consider. This administration is moving in a strategic way that we've never seen an administration move before. Closest administration we saw moving to this strategically through social media was President Barack Obama, because he was the first one on Twitter. Good to see you, Get Black with me, checking in, my first co-host. I see we got a couple people watching. Appreciate you. You know our brother Curtis Cheatham is in Jamaica celebrating 10 years of marriage to my sister Kay, his lovely, beautiful wife. And Larry Hoover is the founder of, I believe, let me see, the Gangster Disciples. I mean, it's like, you remember Get Black with me on a previous show, we were talking about why we anoint certain people as legends. This is one, listen, but we can't unfortunately take away legend status when the culture has given them legend status. But I think it's the Gangster Disciples. And yes, is an American gangster. Look, on Wikipedia, that's the first thing that comes up. And I'm not a fan of Wikipedia to the most accurate degree. But the first thing that comes up, he's an American former gangster and street gang kingpin. He's the founder of the Gangster Disciples, a Chicago street gang. So this is, and as I said, he's all through black culture, popular music, rap songs. So when we look at, you said he should pardon Mumia Abu-Jamal. Tell us about him. Hold on, let me pull him up. Now, here's the thing, Get Black with me. If this is not a matter, let me see. You took a look at like an Assata Shakur. I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm just talking about if he's trying to get popularity. That's the question is, are we using these pardons to administer justice or to gain popularity? That's the question. So if we're using them to administer justice, then let's look at Mumia Abu Jamal. And forgive me if I mispronounce this, American political activist and journalist who was convicted of murder and sentenced to death in 1982 for the 1981 murder of Philadelphia police officer Daniel Faulkner. While on death row, he wrote and commented on a criminal justice system in the United States. A real political prisoner. So here's the thing. Get back with me, coming with the gloves off already. Trump is a crook. That's not the question. The question I'm asking is if this becomes a popular, if we're going to use pardons to gain popularity, how many followers does the Chrisleys have, y'all? Somebody go to Google and tell us, somebody go to Instagram and tell us how many followers the Chrisleys have. When you consider that all of your, I want waves of people, then I can actually pardon an NBA YoungBoy who NBA YoungBoy at one time for probably 5 years straight was the most successful YouTube rapper ever, because he was, everything he was putting out was going to the moon. Everything. So when I can get tens of millions of people with one pardon, that's the question. That's the question. Good to see you, Benita, checking in. Our other co-host checking in. So she said, a crook will pardon a crook. All Trump's pardons are unjustifiable. And not if we're looking to get popularity. Not if we are looking to garner popularity based on pardons. We are absolutely successful. We are absolutely, because I don't care whether you think it's a political move that was right politically. I don't care. What I care about is the fan base of the people who I'm pardoning are now going to like me. And if I don't get them all, I'm going to get a chunk of them. So I can use these. That's why I said, if we see a Diddy pardon, we got to really consider that if the motive is popularity. If I want to win over more people, then with the stroke of a pen, I can gain how many people will come over to the side of Trump. You know how many eyes are on the Diddy trial right now? If Trump tomorrow says, and y'all let me know if I'm speaking out of place and he can't pardon, but that's a federal case. So I believe Trump can pardon him right now. What would happen? What would happen? That's a serious question we need to consider. So people will follow their pockets as Walmart prices go up, popularity goes down. They follow the money. All right, so let's discuss the next order of business. Co-President Elon Musk is leaving his role as a government special employee. It's been 130 days and 130 working days. As a special government employee, you have a certain amount of time that you can actually hold that position, and it's reached his time. Now he's leaving with very, very mixed reviews and opinions based on how well he did the job. Doge came in, and his organization, Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, came in, and they're supposedly the goal was to eliminate government waste and fraud. And that was the goal. Now, what we did to achieve that, his means to doing that was to slash roughly 175,000 jobs. Roughly 175,000 jobs, and it may be more. But when we look at what Doge did, it's the supposedly it was 175 billion in savings, and that's up for debate. And I think the part that's weird for me is why don't we have very clear terms on what was saved here? That see that's where I am as the public, because again, we said we found fraud, nobody went to jail for fraud. We said if we say we found fraud, where are the people who went to jail for fraud? We didn't have that. And everything that we've seen so far has been very, very up in the air based on what Doge was able to achieve. Let me just read you guys a little bit about what they're saying, what Doge, what's in the air about Doge, and then you guys tell me your opinion, because some people are very adamant that he's done a great job, that we needed to reduce all of this spending, that all of these things needed to be cut, and some people are the exact opposite. So it says here, Musk's departure aligns with the legal limit for special government employees who are restricted to 130 working days. So during his tenure, Musk claimed Doge achieved $175 billion in federal savings, primarily through the elimination of, it wasn't 175,000 jobs. It was 260,000 just federal jobs. So, and the closure of agencies like USAID and the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. Now, some of you know I am a fan, for the most part, of USAID cuts. One of the reasons we see General Langley, who is over AFRICOM in Africa, all of a sudden he's everywhere speaking out, is because those checks have dried up. They're no longer coming. And while he was out there, the checks were coming and the register was ringing, but all of a sudden the money gets cut. And again, USAID is a very, very large, comprehensive budget. So we're not talking about, we're not saying everything. I am not saying that everything in that encompassed USAID was good or bad. What I'm saying is, and there are other people, stakeholders, who are speaking out and saying that USAID was used to fund terrorist groups. So that has come out as fact. There are checks that have been cut, that have been paid to keep certain regions destable. But that doesn't mean we couldn't have looked closer into very specific spending versus cutting a broad department altogether, because there are cases where when you cut the broad department, the funding for certain humanitarian efforts that kept certain people alive got cut with it. But so it's mixed opinions. And part of the reason, well, there's a little disagreement here between Trump's big, beautiful bill that just passed. If you don't know, we reported on that, the big, beautiful bill that passed last week, that some experts say will add between 2.5 and 4 trillion to the federal deficit over 10 years. So when we talk about one guy who comes in to manage government spending, to lower it, and then we have a budget that passes that we see will increase the deficit 2.5 to 4 trillion over 10 years. Unless the guy who's supposed to be managing spending is just going to tuck his tail and not say anything, you got to mention this. How do you feel about this? Because we're spending more. And apparently there has been some talks that Elon's not quite, has been a little outspoken, that bill is going to add more to the deficit. So how do we feel about co-president Elon Musk? How do we think he did? What grade would you give him? A through F. What grade would you give him in his role as head of the Department of Government Efficiency? Get Black With Me says some of which they are having to reinstate. And she's talking about the programs that were cut. Now, here's the thing. When we cut these programs, the beautiful thing about it is, if you were truly, as long as you can get a meeting, if you were truly doing something that was impactful, You need to show your results, and you need to come, and you need to now be a line item that gets approval. I don't care if you cut the 900 billion. My 100 million, here's what we were doing. And let me show you. We're keeping receipts to show you why we should be doing this and why this needs to be necessary. So their thing was, hey, you cut off the oxygen and let the people who want to breathe come and tell us why we should keep them breathing. So some of this reinstated, but I think they saw so much waste. They saw that there was, they just said, we're going to cut everything and let everyone come individually. And yes, we are seeing some of those things. Where's the waste? Again, the reports are so skewed. We see in some cases there's 800, there's people 300 years old on the Social Security records. So we had people who were over the age of 300 still on the Social Security records. Now, I could tell you as somebody, my parents have worked the polls, my grandparents have worked the polls in some of these, in East Orange for probably the last 30 years. Every single election, my mother lets me know that the records are outdated, that they still have people on the records that are no longer alive. Now, we've heard that they were getting checks, and then we heard that they weren't getting checks. They were just on the record. So I'm a believer that they would be on the record. I'm a believer that they would be outdated systems, because I just think that Elon's so popular because he's one of the only guys who can walk in the room and actually understand a computer. We have people in their 70s and 80s that can't reboot, copy and paste, and can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, they still call their grandsons in there, hey, turn that computer on for me, boy. You know what I'm saying? So if Elon walks in with a team of 20-year-olds that know how to use these computers, there's, obviously he's the most impressive guy in the room. It shows what we're training on, and our government. It shows where we are putting our dollars when it comes to educating our people. But at the same time, there was no, just because you're on the record does not mean you got a check. So if you're getting a check, then yes, there's your fraud. There's your waste. But if you're just on the record, then you're just on the record. The records are outdated. So we never got to the root. We never got an actual final verdict on that. People don't even know what was cut. It's true. What I'm hearing most of the time is from the African leaders and from African communities talking about how they had terrorist groups that were funded, and we had people within the government saying that they found checks to certain terrorist groups. So if we can see, again, verdict on Elon is up in the air right now. Verdict is up in the air. You came in, you had 130 days. We didn't see anyone go to jail. We saw a lot of programs cut. At the end of your tenure, we see a huge bill passed that's going to add $2.5 to $4 trillion in debt. What's the grade we're giving Elon? I feel like he got what he wanted, access to information, and that's it. Ooh, talking spicy, Bonita, talking spicy. Hey, now look, let's talk about this real quick. We can't act like it's not being said right now. There's a lot being said about this last election. I gotta take a sip of water. There's a lot being said. Little comments being, what's a lot of Freudian slips. A lot of Freudian slips. Elon knows those computers. You won all 7 swing states. The access to the information from a guy who, and we saw a clip. Hold on. Can we let me pull up this clip. Let me pull up this clip and see who saw this clip. Hold on, give me a second. Of President Trump saying, and this is all attached to this Elon story. This is all attached to this Elon story. Look at this.
With Adobe Acrobat AI.
Hold on, let me let this, because if Bonita is correct and she's saying the access to the information, was what was truly necessary. Not the fact, not the spending. Check this out.
Got the Olympics that are representing you there. You know, I got both of them. I got the Olympics and I got the World Cup. And I said, you know, it's too bad. One was in 2026 and the other was in 2028. And I said, I won't be there. I won't be your president. But then they rigged the election and now we won. So I'm going to be your president for the Olympics and for the World Cup.
Okay, so now that might be like, well, that was just a slip up. He said they rigged the election and then I won. That wasn't the only one. That wasn't the only one. Let me see and who you let me know if you saw these, because at this point we gotta ask ourselves. Hold on. We gotta ask ourselves. Hold on, I think this is it.
He went out to Pennsylvania after that. He landed that rocket nobody had ever seen. By the way, China can't do it. Russia can't do it. We're come close. It would be 10 years before they can do it. And the U.S. can't do it except for him. And it's pretty amazing. But he did that. And then he journeyed to Pennsylvania, where he spent like a month and a half campaigning for me in Pennsylvania. And he's a popular guy. And he was very effective. And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide.
So when you listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't like it. I think it's just too deep of a rabbit hole to go down. But we gotta ask ourselves, there's at least two more clips out there. One of them in specific where President Trump said he said, remember when he said, if I don't win, it was rigged? It was kind of like, what do you mean? It's you won by a landslide. So okay, if I don't win, it was rigged. So anyway, don't get me in that. Don't get me there. But with Bonita, you brought it up that the access to the information, you know, at this point that Elon Musk has all our information. What will that mean for the midterms coming in 2026? If we see a landslide, I mean, we just got to question. We got to question, because I don't think we've ever seen, even though President Trump has a huge amount of people who absolutely love what he's doing, I don't think we've never seen this amount of public discourse backlash. I'm not feeling this. So even if your people still rally for you, you still have a large group that are speaking out that's saying, so, all right, I'm gonna wrap on that. And it still will be used for the same purpose. What is you mean the funding? Get me, because I see, I know our co-hosts, listen, y'all be having conversations without me in the chat. I don't like it. Include me in the conversation. I want to be in the conversation. Pastor House, this is what the empire does. Right, look, get Bonita and Get Black with me is just having a whole conversation. I love it. Elon left because they don't have any records. We'll see. We'll see. Trump's Social Security person said that they found less than 1% problems with the records. And see, that's the thing. Where I would think that if even on Elon's way out, you should have very verifiable numbers, accurate. Like, this is where we are. This is what I did. This is what I cut. This is what I made a difference. This is going to be the long-term savings. We're just throwing out random numbers that are just not able to be verified. And that's the part that is just like, again, no one's given them a grade yet. Before we move on past this story, A through F, what grade are we giving them? Rubio will just fund different terrorist groups. Well, we seem to be meeting with a whole lot of people who we never would meet with before. I told you guys, in my opinion, this is the time for new alliances. There's never been a better time to make deals. Never. Old deals are crashing. 50-year partnerships are falling apart. This is a great time to make deals, big deals, multi-billion-dollar and trillion-dollar deals. Never been a better time because everything's destable. People are scared. People who they thought were going to protect them are not protecting them. People who they thought were going to be funding are not funding them. This is great. It's like the playing field is very level. He's insane in the membrane. He can't help from telling it. Curtis, look, Get Black with me gave him an F. All right. Well, again, I would like to see some substance. And unfortunately, up until this point, from somebody who is supposed to run a department based on accuracy and efficiency, I don't see substance. I see a lot of ambiguity. I see a lot of, oh, we did this, and then you should be able to stand against facts, against verifiable sources. You should be able to have independent companies come in, independent auditors come in and audit your numbers. That's what I think of. You don't want your accountant coming in. There are certain professions, it's based on accountability and accuracy. It's not based on generality. It's based on being very, very accurate. If you're coming in and that's how I look at the Department of Government Efficiency. So when you wrap it up, you should be able to have, you don't want your accountant who's been doing your taxes for 3-4 years. Oh, you're getting audited. Oh, okay, no problem. You got all my records in place. Well, listen, I think we can make a good case. What? What? This is either black or white. Did everything I do, was it above board or not? What are you talking about? Well, I think we got some, I feel like once they hear us out, they're gonna understand you're in trouble. This is a position based on accuracy. So I think what I would have loved to see, or what I love to see from Elon, is as you check out, run it. Have independent auditors come through, audit your results, verify the numbers. If you can't do that, we know what it is. All right, so let's see. Now, all right, Harvard. Harvard is in our news regularly. They obviously I'm not going to say obviously, because some of you may not know that Harvard has been in a back and forth with the current administration, really for a number of reasons. First, it started out that the administration was holding large amount of federal funds, and they ended up suing the administration. And we spoke about them we've been speaking about Harvard for the last maybe month and a half, 2 months. Now they're in the news for a different reason right now. They just surrendered enslaved photos. Apparently there's a woman here. Let me just read a little bit of this to you. She's a descendant of the people who, she's a descendant of those in these photos. So it says Harvard University will relinquish 175-year-old photographs believed to be the earliest taken of enslaved people to a South Carolina museum devoted to African American history as part of a settlement with a woman who says she is one of the subject's descendants. The photos of the subject, identified by Tamara Lanier as her great-great-great-grandfather, Renty, whom she calls Papa Renty, and his daughter Delia, will be transferred from the Peabody Museum of Archaeological. This is like when what's my man's name from this Michael B. Jordan's character from Black Panther, when he walks into the museum and he says, "Hey, this is our stuff. Listen, it's time. You got to give us our stuff back. You got to give us our stuff. If you especially stuff you stole." And so this young lady has been fighting this battle. Says the settlement ends a 15-year battle between Lanier and the university to release the 19th century. I'm not going to try to read this word, but it's dog. All right, hold on now. Listen, my vocabulary is it's pretty good, but sometimes we just gotta stop. We just gotta stop. What is anybody seen this word before? I feel like we gotta just stop throwing out words that we know no one can pronounce except the person who you get what I'm saying? Dodger types? You look, you know you could have just said pictures, images. What are we doing? What are we doing? If you're enjoying the show, could you hit a like button? It boosts the algorithm. And if you're going to be here with us every Friday, we're here Friday, 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. My man Curtis is in Jamaica. He's also on the show because he just can't. We just love this so much. He's supposed to be on an island with a pineapple in his hand, but he's checking in from the audience. But you get what I'm saying? Why can't we, like, come on, stop it, y'all. For relatability and effectiveness, let's just use words that everyone can understand. Come on. I'm a fan of big words, but come on, stop it. So anyway, so this is a victory. Congratulations to this young lady who's been in a fight, who has gotten the victory. She's going to receive these photos of her great-great-great-grandfather, one of the earliest photos of the enslaved who came into South Carolina, and good for her. We coming for all our stuff. We coming for all our stuff. Walk into some of those museums. I'm not a historian. I have a great family member. He's our family historian. You know, walk into some of these places and let's get our stuff back so that we can actually preserve, because we see what's happening at the Museum of African American History in DC right now. They're tearing stuff down. So now let's go. Our next story. Oh, you know I'm happy. Listen, we were talking about Michael B. Jordan. Let's stay on Michael B. Jordan. And our brother, Ryan Coogler, who is right now proving to all of you creators out there, all of you creators, you got scripts, you act, you got TV shows, he's proving to y'all you can do anything. You don't need the machine. You don't gotta go beg. You don't gotta go, you don't have to sell your soul. This man has put out a record-breaking movie, one of the highest grossing horror movies ever in history. So it says Sinners has crossed a potentially final box office milestone just ahead of its upcoming digital release. And Michael B. Jordan leads the Sinners cast. His twin brothers Smoke and Stack, two gangsters. Who's seen Sinners? I'm not going to give any spoilers, but who has seen Sinners? Type either seen it or haven't seen it. Let us know. Who has seen Sinners? Right now, let's see if we can get a number. Here we go. 338 million. Says Sinners has now grossed domestically 258 million and 80 million internationally, for a worldwide total box office of $338 million. This domestic figure puts the vampire film in Warner Brothers' top 30 highest grossing movies ever in North America. Let's clap it up. Let's clap it up for Sinners. Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, the whole cast. It's a phenomenal cast. It's a phenomenal movie. Bonita, haven't seen it. Get Black with Me, still haven't seen it. It's a well-written, well-acted, well-performed, very unique plot line, entertaining. It keeps you engaged the whole time. It's not, now let me say this. It's not like this scary. You get what I'm saying? It's not one of those. It's not jump scary. There's a few. It's not, it's just like there's a great series, The Haunting on Hill House. I think it's Netflix. and they also did the Bly Manor. When I tell you, it's not a lot of scary movies that's like scary. That's a series. It's terrifying. And I mean, like, you're just like on the edge of your seat. You want to grab a pillow type thing. Grown men just curled up on the couch. It's not that type. It's just, it's a different type of horror film, and it's very well done. So I would certainly recommend that anyone who is into good movies, adult movies. It is not a movie for kids. Anybody bringing their kids to see Sinners, I have to ask you, why are you doing that? What? The name of the movie is Sinners. It's clearly an adult movie. Hey kids, come on. We're going to go see this great movie. I'm hearing everybody loves it, Sinners. No, if you're not 18, I don't even want to go see it with my 18-year-old. She wants to go see it on her own. She can go see it. It's not a movie you watch with your kids. Go as parents and adults. You don't, if you're 18, 19, don't invite your parents to go see Sinners with you. It's weird. That's just weird. Don't do it. But yeah, shout out to the guys. And you know, we'll see what they're gonna do as they go digital. So very, and I mean, it's amazing how quick movies go digital now. You didn't used to get the VHS. Who remembers, like, it took a long time for stuff to hit the VHS and then the DVD. That just shows how much they just want to keep the register ringing. Let's get it. Listen. And you know, it makes you feel crazy because this happened with Equalizer 3. Equalizer 3, I love Equalizer. Who's seen Equalizer 3? Any of the Denzel Equalizer movies? Who's an Equalizer fan? Let me ask that in the chat. Oh, wait, hold on. Don't pay attention to that last one. Hold on. Who's an Equalizer fan? Let me tell you what happened, why I don't be. Hold on. Who's an Equalizer fan? Let me, and I don't mean the Queen Latifah one. Shout out to Queen Latifah. I hear it's an incredible show. Denzel just owns the role for me, and I know it was a guy who was the original Equalizer. I'm talking about the Denzel Equalizer. When I bought Equalizer 3, as soon as it goes digital, it's like $25 to rent it. But then you look up and you're like, so it goes from being in theaters for whatever per ticket to then it's on digital for $25 to rent it for 48 hours. And you look up in 60 days and it's $4.99. I don't like it. I don't like it. Because it's like, I'm just going to wait until it's $4.99. I didn't like it. Is it me? Well, you wouldn't feel some type of way where you look up and you're like, wait, I just paid $25 and you're telling me I can now watch this for $4.99. I get it. But again, it just shows the revenue stream of the movies they got it to a precise science. As soon as we see the box office drop here, all right, let's go digital, $25. We know this many people going to rent it. And then we go $4.99 and we're going to get everybody. All the people waiting for $4.99 is just like, don't tell me about it. Movie been out for 4 months. No, I don't want to hear it. Yeah, movie been out for 4 months. Don't tell me about it. I'm waiting for it to hit Netflix. It's already there. Not for $24. No. Oh, like, yeah. Spoiler. Still running from spoilers. Movie been out 6 months. I'm waiting for it to be included in my monthly premium. I don't even want to pay the $4. When does it get included into my new releases? So anyway, yeah, all right, but I know it's not just me. I felt a little used. I even felt used when you go to the movies and pay $60 for 3 people, and then you see that it's on Netflix in 2 weeks. It's like, wait, you just went for a cheaper date? You moved on quick from my $60. All right, what else we got? Again, if you're new here, we invite you to subscribe. We're here every Friday at 12 Eastern time from 12 to 1:30. My man and my brother, Curtis Cheatham Jr., is normally by my side, but he is in Jamaica right now, tapping in with us in the chat. But he's celebrating 10 years of marriage. So God bless him. And all right, what else we got? So, all right. All right, so it's been 5 years since the death of George Floyd. Now, as important as this is, I don't want to spend too much time on it, and I'm gonna tell you why. When we consider where we're at right now, what are we? I mean, on May 25th. May 25th was the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because, you know, as some of you know, if you're in the Black community or if you're somebody who cares about Black America, you have repeatedly saw George Floyd and martyrs just like him. I'm not even going to start naming names because we could be here for a whole hour just naming names and not repeat names. But the reason why I'm disappointed, not in us, but I'm disappointed in what we continually try to achieve here. Because some of the things that, like, President Biden had put he had hold on, what's the name of the something he did with the state of with Minnesota, that basically was reforming the Minnesota Police Department. It's here in the article. It says nearly 5 years ago, George Floyd killing sparked nationwide protests. Forced Americans to reckon with racism. Floyd, we know he was, we know he was murdered by Chauvin. Let's see. I just want to talk about the reversal of what you guys already know, that we had people in the Trump administration. In this administration, there are people who are being allowed to talk about this man being out. And, right-wing political commentator Ben Shapiro, he was one of the ones who started circulating a petition to actually free Chauvin, pardon him. So, so we talked about that in previous episodes, but here's the reversal that I was really, the consent decree. Here we go. It was originally reached under President Biden following a federal investigation into policing spurred by Floyd's killing in 2020. The agreement was designed to overhaul the Minneapolis Police Department and to address failures in training, use of force policies, and officer accountability. Now, why is that bad? Why is that bad? You tell me in what way. I don't care whether you agree with it or not, agree with whether Chauvin was a murderer or not, but what is the process? Why is the process of addressing any failures in training, use of force policy, and officer accountability bad? It's kind of like, hey, we're gonna come into your job and we're just gonna see if there's any, any training policies that should be better, and we're gonna see if there's anything that's falling through the cracks, that's leading to bad results. Nah, we don't want that. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that? We know who doesn't want it. So when I look at, with this that program, that consent decree was has since been pulled off the table. We also reported, I think about a month ago, one of the executive orders that the Trump administration signed was giving more federal resources to police. So in the event that they already had, good to see you, Cyber Lady, checking in, one of our great co-hosts. In the event that there was an issue, look, I'm shouting out our co-host, and I so in the event that you have a lack of training or anything, there's nothing bad about this. But again, the reversal just shows, God, I don't know how we move on from this, because we cannot continue to take 2 steps forward and 10 back. I'm not in the business of watching us continually do that. Not when we have people around the world shining. I can't, not when we have countries that are shining. Not when there's options. You know, we did a show, and it's gone, we've had clips from that show, Curtis and I, go viral on Instagram. And we did a show, it's on our Hello Black America YouTube page. I think you would all enjoy it. It's called 100 Years of Destroying Black Communities. Because oftentimes they make us think that Tulsa was all we had. Tulsa, Greensboro District, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, burned to the ground. Insurance companies didn't pay out, couldn't rebuild. They make us think that was all y'all had. One community, it was a good one, but it was only one. So sit down and relax. But what we actually reported on was that we've had hundreds, or essentially dozens, close to 100. And if you count the smaller ones, you probably would see over 100. You would see hundreds. But I'm talking about full-fledged, like bustling communities where we were everything in the community. Like, and what's amazing is when we did that show, we didn't realize that when the clips hit social media, we would actually have even more people share towns with us that we didn't include in the show. And so I used to hold a real estate license. When I got my real estate license, to get it, we had to learn about fair housing discrimination policy. We had to learn about redlining. You had to learn about what you could not say, what would jeopardize your license and your broker's license. We had to learn about block busting, white flight. We had to learn about eminent domain. We had to learn about these things. Little did I know that the reason the laws were created was for us. The reason the laws were created was because of what they did to us. They were burning our cities down and putting highways through our cities like crazy. Look at what's happening in Atlanta. Look at what's happening in Atlanta with eminent domain. So I don't know, when I look at this George Floyd article and seeing the consent decree pulled off the table and seeing the things that have taken decades to get done, and then we get pushed back 10 steps. We made one step and then we get pushed back 10 steps. How long will it take us to get back to where we were here? How long will it take us to rebuild these cities? We kept trying to rebuild Seneca Village, Rondo, Greenwood, Lake Lanier. Like, I can't even name them all. It's just like when I started the George Floyd article, I didn't want to start naming names of martyrs that have come from our communities, because we'd be here naming them and we can't do them all justice. We'd leave some out. So it's just better to not name any. But every single time they've tried to bomb our cities or flood our cities, and they put highways through our cities to divide the commerce section from where we live. So now we isolated us from where we were making money, and then you bought this stuff up, and then you left us out here where we were. Like, how many times are we going to continue to try to rebuild here? And I don't know if your goal is to discourage us from rebuilding, but I'm not discouraged from rebuilding. I'm just discouraged from rebuilding here. Again, pull up what's happening and pull up Atlanta eminent domain. I guarantee, unless they're suppressing that, I guarantee. Look. How Atlanta residents refused to let the city take their homes and won. Okay, so they're fighting against it. But look at this. Next article from February. Judge upholds. Now, here's what's amazing. Take a look at this. So one particular article is from 2023. Look who won. The people. Look who won in 2025. What's the difference? There's a big difference. We got a different administration. We're not going to get the same victories in these cases. Look, a Fulton County Superior Court judge has upheld a ruling granting a private railroad company eminent domain power to take land from several Middle Georgia property owners. What you telling me? What you telling me? Again, watch the show. Because I think we have some of the most educated co-hosts watching. For those of you who tap in with us every week Friday, you know we don't call you our audience. You're our co-host. I think we have some of the most educated co-hosts. Go watch the episode on our Hello Black America YouTube channel, 100 Years of Destroying Black Cities. You tell me when it's going to end because it's still happening. Another thing we talked about is the three largest banks, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America, have settled multiple discriminatory lawsuits in the last 15, 20 years. Multiple. This is who, if where you get the money from is where you get the capital from is compromised. How do you think we build? The capital market's compromised. But again, see, I got people that'll come on the page and they'll say, oh, y'all just talking, y'all were never slaves. What y'all want reparations for? Y'all don't want to. You are just unfortunately totally unaware. It could be by choice or it could be by ignorance. But you are totally unaware of what is happening around you. And the discriminatory practices that still continue to take place. We got people who, they settled a lawsuit, Bank of America, I believe it was, settled a lawsuit discriminating against Latinos and blacks in 2006. I think it was 4 through 6. What was happening in 2004 to 6? People were getting wealthy buying real estate cheap and flipping it. People were buying houses in 2006, 4, 5. Some of you might have bought one. Do you know someone? If you know someone who flipped a house or bought a rental property before the crash of 2008, let me know in the chat. Let us know. This was when the getting was good. Mortgages were easy to get. Stated income loans. Anyone can get a. They settled a lawsuit 20 years later saying, oh yeah, we were discriminating back then. How much money did you cost the black community by not getting loans? Who got a check? Because if you tried to get a house in 2004 and you were discriminated against, that probably cost you legit $200,000 minimum. Who got a check? Just that one discriminatory practice. I know how much money people were making in real estate in 2004, 5, 6. Why do we want to continue to? And I got a question at the end of the show. We'll get to it in probably about 10 minutes before we wrap. And I want to ask a poll question, and I want to get your opinion on it. But this is just a little discouraging because again, it doesn't discourage me from wanting to build. But it discourages me from wanting to build here. Black people traded it all for integration. Listen, that's a statement worth considering. One of the things we got another episode. It was actually the last episode of our first season called "The House is on Fire." Time to get out. Speaking about some things that are happening in the country, right? And one of the things we started with was the clip when Harry Belafonte was talking about how Dr. King, one of the last things Dr. King said to him was that he feared that he had integrated his people into a burning house. I think because of who we are and how we're made, No, the only Nicodemus I know is in the scriptures. So tell me about Nicodemus if you get black with me. Give us a little blurb about him. But because of how we are as people, I think we're all fans for can't we all just get along? You know what I mean? That's the, Rodney King, one of the first public, thank God they didn't kill him. But he was certainly, Rodney King in the 90s was one of the first public police beatings that we saw. We had a lot. Let's not act like he was the only one. You had Abner Louima, sodomized by police here in New York. You had Amadou Diallo shot 41 times. Let's not act like, we've been, but this is in the 90s when stuff first started coming out. Sean, what's the gentleman's name? He was early on. Young brother was with his girl, I believe, came from a prom or something, or came from a date. Young brother murdered. I think his name was Sean. One day we're gonna have a city where everybody gets a street. Something's gonna happen. Everybody's got to get a street. We'll figure it out. But I think our nature is just to want to get along with everyone. So we don't mind actually being among others and living in harmony. But rest in peace to the great Muhammad Ali. He says something very interesting. You don't see red birds hanging with bluebirds, not living with them. You don't see them mating with them. You don't see eagles mating with pigeons. You don't see gorillas mating with giraffes. Every species, I always have a problem with that word. I feel like it's the word. Some words just are not. They could be better words. It's just my opinion. You don't see certain groups, like it's nature. Nature is among your own. Doesn't mean you don't hang out. Doesn't mean the gorillas don't go by the giraffes. Hey, what's going on? How are you? Hey, it's good. What's going on? The birds fly, red bird, blue bird. Hey, what's going on? How's the day going? Yeah, day's good. Sean Bell. Thank you, Bonita. Thank you. Thank you. Another martyr, Sean Bell. But mixing seems a little unnatural if we look at nature. When we see certain things mixed, they call that mutating. So I think, I think we have to really consider that in the world we want to build. Well, maybe it's just about building your own and only allowing the righteous people in. It just so happens that the people who are unrighteous typically run the things, and maybe it's not the integration, maybe it's just the hierarchy of who's running it. Because I believe if we govern certain systems correctly, we could allow other people in, and it's just we don't govern. We don't govern community without colonial and imperialistic oversight. We don't govern schooling. We don't govern country. We don't govern anything. What we're seeing now is government rising up in Burkina Faso. But until you can actually see what governing looks like with us overseeing it versus people who have proven they don't have the right heart because they marginalize certain individuals, we don't know if the experiment of integration is actually could actually be successful. It's just, I think you have the wrong people running society. I think you have people who are not committed to everyone's greater good. And so that's why I'm not going to write off integration, because I think when we look at the world that would be the most peaceful world, it would have, everyone would be, it would be all the righteous people together of all races. White people died with Dr. King, got on the front lines, like John Smith, abolitionist. yo, I'm getting out here. Yo, this is wrong. We're not enslaving people. Dead. Good. I mean, gone. Gave his life. Gave his life. Like, we've had white people who are like, yo, I'm on the front lines of this thing. Let's go do this, man. We're going to fight for what's right. And this what's right is, you know, we all should be able to live freely together. Dead. They're gone. They're dead. So I think when we look at, do they want to live with whites who enslave? Do those people, who are they going to build? Who are the good white people going to build with? Who are the righteous white people? We can call it a percentage. It could be 10%, but there's still 10%. Do you think they enjoy being around bigots and racists and people who call people racial slurs and set up policy to rule people? Do they enjoy it? They're miserable. They're waiting for us to build something. Can we come there, please? We ain't asking for too much. We ain't gonna get out of pocket at all. But I can't live with Uncle Joe Bob, who, you know, is governor, and he's, you know, and then his nephew, his son, you know, Billy is a third generation deputy, and he's about to be sheriff. I can't do this no more. I can't do this no more. Somebody come get me out of this hell. I don't believe in God no more. I'm starting to question God because they going to church and then they coming out here and they killing people. I don't know about nothing. Please, somebody build a society that is properly governed where people can be at peace and harmony. Yes. Yeah, he was about to get married. Yep. Thank you. I knew it was some event. And then when I said prom, I'm like, no, he was older than that. And I remember it was something involving his lady. He was about to get married. All right. Who determines who's righteous? I mean, let's just take a basic scale. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're like I said, if we see, and now you're what you're asking a question that goes beyond a basic moral code. Because a basic moral code is one thing, but if you're talking about righteous, now we're talking about spiritual, we're talking about righteous before God. So when I say that's what I'm looking at, and the only thing I know is that the only one person said, I'm going to come and I'm going to govern in righteousness, and that was Christ. He said, when I come, I'm going to govern in righteousness, and I'm going to govern the whole world for 1,000 years. So, but I have to empathize with the percentage who have died. And I think we need to make sure we are not forgetting that, throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I don't care if it's 90%. And I'm not saying 90% of white people are oppressors and imperialists and colonizers. I'm not saying that. But even if it was 95%, there's still 5% that are suffering. They're suffering. As much as the people who are being marginalized, as much as the people who are, and it might be 20%, 30%, we don't know. But there's a percentage. And I think what the conversation has to be is it's time to speak up. It's time to speak up. Because one of the things that we know about those abolitionists and those freedom fighters that stood for progress and were willing to give their lives is they weren't in the background. They weren't speaking when things were comfortable. They wasn't dipping and hiding when it was uncomfortable and then coming back. All right, is everything clear now? Listen, we got to stop this. This is wrong. No, they was out there, right or wrong. And with social media, it gives you a false sense that, or it can give you a false sense that you're doing something to make things move forward. But in the real world, you're not. In your real community, you're not. So I think we need to see at this particular time, those who are righteous, those who really would talk about, but we're saying it. People are miserable. Houses are divided like never before. So does that mean righteous means believing in what you believe? No, I'm just talking about a society. I'm not talking about, listen, although my brother Curtis is not here and I can go on a whole biblical tangent and really go into, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a society of people that that are governed in righteousness, where the people are happy. We can say in some instances that China's people are happy. We can say in some sense they're like, hey, we have the largest middle class in the world. Y'all can say what y'all want to say about us. It's Western propaganda. I just mean, before we write off the whole integration of blacks, do we think the only way we would be happy as a society is to be governed in a community where we run it, in a city, in a country that we run it, and there's only black people there? Do we think that's the case? Or if we were governing a country, would we allow others? See, that's where it gets, because these are the things these are the questions that I think any political leader who wants to be in government, or even if you want to live in a society, you got to answer these questions. Do you want people from other races coming into your country? Because follow me, if you don't, that's fine. But on the world stage, there are people who are like that already. And there are people who we got to deal with if we want to be in a country where, no, we don't allow these people to come in. We don't allow these people to live here. We are not for these marriages and whatever. So would we want to live in a society where, even if we were running it, let's say we're in a country, I'm asking, we got a lot of people watching. I would love to hear your opinions. Do we think integration is the failure, or do we think the governing of this country when it comes to integration is the failure? Because if you say integration is the failure, then that means that, are we saying that if we were running a country, governing it, it's successful, we're doing trade around the world, it's beautiful, we're making money, we have a large middle class, business owners, no poverty, no homelessness, everything's great. Do we want other races coming there and saying, hey, can I live here? Yes or no? Because no doubt, when that happens, other races are going to want to come live there. They'll be like, wait, man, this is the coolest group of black people I ever seen. And there's no crime. Everyone's lovely. This is great. We're rich. Country's rich. Healthcare is taken care of. There's no poor. We eating good vegetables. Our meat is, animals grazing. We're killing our animals holistically. They're not suffering. Can we come live there? Do we let them in? Which brings me to my closing question for the show. This is my closing question. Oh, I don't want to talk. I have to tell a funny story, right? Before I get to the closing question. So I'm in Mexico the other day. Guy sees me in the gift shop. White guy, he got on a hat, like a straw hat. Hey man, what's going on? Hey, where you from? I said, I'm from Jersey, man. How you? He said, hey, I'm good, man. I said, where you from? Kansas City. I'm from Kansas City. I said, okay, good, man. Good to see you. Did y'all hear about what happened in Kansas City this week? Apparently, there's a white supremacist march for Memorial Day. White supremacist march. A white supremacist hate group marched in downtown Kansas City on Saturday, May 24th for mid-Memorial Day celebrations. According to KCTV, a white supremacist hate group convened in downtown Kansas City wearing white face masks. They always do. Because we be catching them and they go into work Monday and they don't have a job. Hey, Bob, we're going to need to see you. We so good right now at catching people and making them go viral. People's whole livelihood. They come through one of these stunts on Tuesday, and by Friday, they're coming home with a box. Hey, honey, wife leaving them. But I found it funny. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the way this guy, if y'all were to see the way the guy dapped me up when he said I'm from Kansas City, I was the only black guy in the gift shop, by the way, because I'm in Cancun. On this particular resort, it wasn't a lot of black people. You know, we probably 5%, 5%, a lot of European, a lot of white people, right? And it's like when I saw the article, because Curtis put together the show, even though he wasn't here, I'm sitting here and I'm like, he knew. This guy knew. He was waiting because I didn't look like, he's like, yeah, I'm from Kansas City. And he kind of, and I said to him, I said, man, you got a good person. When I tell you his wife, because normally when you meet a husband, a wife, hey, it's just a nice cordial event. Man, the wife was like ice grill. Didn't even make eye contact with me. And I said, man, you got a friendly personality. It's not like he said, oh, thanks, man. And I walked out of the gift shop and I'm like, that was weird. Because he was like, hey, man, I'm from Kansas City. I said, oh, man, that's cool, man. That's cool. You got because he was all friendly to me. Hey, where you from? I said, you got a friendly personality. He didn't say nothing. It was like crickets. And then 2 days later, I see he messed around and been out here. So, again, white supremacist group. But okay, so this is the question. This is the question that I want. Oh, wait. I'm sorry, Curtis. I'm doing one of our numbers. I can't stop without talking about this, y'all. Look at this. I'm going to play something for y'all. This is going to be pretty scary. Not scary in that way, but check this out.
I broke into a zoo to prove one man is enough to fight a gorilla.
Welcome to the Chernobyl challenge. I'm gonna lick this glowing pole. Let's see how many views this gets.
No plan, no shoot, just content.
Bathing in liquid cement until it hardens. Let's get solid.
No energy drinks, just gasoline. Digging to the Earth's core, bare hands, no brakes. Can I survive a full latex suit in 100-degree heat with no water? Let's find out the hard way. Staring at.
All right. Stop it right there. Now, some of you, I wanted to save this story for our last story before we do our poll. All of those videos that you just saw were AI. All of them. And I'm going to tell you, like I said, I have had plenty of videos that my father sent me. One of them in particular, he said, hey, Deshaun, man, look, this is why LeBron James will never be as good as Jordan. He sends me a video. LeBron is like, yeah, listen, man, my teammates are scrubs. I cannot keep playing with these guys, man. We need better teammates. I said, Dad, that's AI. He said, you serious? I said, Dad, that's all AI, man. That's not LeBron James. And you could see, the lip movements. You could hear that the voice tone was off. Not anymore. Not anymore. And so this is Google VO. Every single one of these videos that you see me playing in the background is made with Google VO. So, and there's hundreds of them going around. I just want to read you guys a little bit about this because when I say that I mean, I'm very interested as we wrap. We'll wrap in about another 10 minutes. We normally end around the 1:30 hour. We try to, but I really want us to discuss this really quickly, because here's what the launch of Google VO is saying. I just want to read a little bit of this for you guys. Okay, Google's unveiling of VO3 at I/O 2025 has ignited both excitement and concern across the tech and creative industries. This advanced AI video generation tool can produce highly realistic 8-second clips complete with synchronized dialogue, so perfectly synced audio, ambient sounds and music, all from simple text prompts. While its capabilities are groundbreaking, they also raise ethical and societal concerns. So, the misinformation risk. The ease of creating realistic videos has led to fears about the spread of deepfakes and false information. So let me give you an example. Let's just say, for example, somebody wants to ruin the career of LeBron James. And let's not say you can ruin his career, but let me give you an example. LeBron James gets up, we see a video. I hate white people. I've never liked them. I've always been about social justice. I really believe that black people and white people should not be together, and we really should be in our own country, and I hate it here. I hate that I got to play for these daggone white crackers. How viral is that video going? How viral is that video going in seconds? By the time LeBron James gets to it, the damage is done. The damage to his career. We all know that a viral video, you can't make a viral apology. It never competes with how big the video was. So you might say, all right, well, I'm just going to make a video and the viral video has been seen 400 million times in 3 days. Well, I'm just going to make an apology, and then maybe that'll go viral. LeBron James apologizes, 2 million views. That's the danger. So can you guys imagine? Can you really imagine how, if we don't have laws to regulate this, and this is in the wrong hands, anybody could be destroyed? Politicians? We're talking about, what if they put Jasmine Crockett in a video saying racist things? Anyone can be destroyed if this is not regulated. Because the viral video is going to go to the moon. It's going to go to the moon. All I need to do is write a prompt. If there's no regulations, we are in serious, serious trouble concerning what we're going to be able to do, and potentially whose careers we can destroy. You understand? You understand, Benita? So it's not about the technology. The technology, sure, it's going to affect the jobs of creatives. It says here the impact on creative industries, professionals in film, advertising, visual effects, express anxiety over job security. Very real. If what you just saw, to come up with just that, a commercial that takes 2 minutes, you used to have to write a script, hire a script writer, hire a voiceover, hire an actor, hire a camera team, go get a set, pay for the set. Not anymore. Not anymore. So all of those people's livelihoods gone. That's why I believe the only way that you can actually have a society that takes advantage of AI and it doesn't put a good percentage of people in poverty is the society needs to own the AI. So if all of us collectively own the AI or shares in the company, and every AI company that launched, we owned it, and these were trillion-dollar companies, then we don't care about the AI going big and replacing jobs, because our economy is based on us investing, not based on us working and laboring. But that's not going to happen here in America. So I wanted to show that to you guys. That is Google VO3. You can Google it for yourself. You can YouTube it. You can see some of the realistic. I just pulled one video, but it's gonna blow your mind. And again, we need to really look at how the current administration is going to. I know they put laws in place saying that. I think there was an executive order passed that said you could not use. I believe it was images of the president. Let me see. Hold on. Take It Down. It was the Take It Down Act of 2025. Oh, they had it on 60 Minutes. It's worthy of a 60 Minutes episode. It is worthy of a 60-minute episode. So the Take It Down Act that was passed within the last 2 weeks, it says this bill generally, let me get a basic, officially titled Tools to Address Known Exploitation. There's a federal law that criminalizes the non-consensual publication of intimate images, including deepfakes, and requires online platforms to remove such content upon request. See, so non-consensual publication. But again, we have hackers. Somebody just text me from the New Jersey. Our phone numbers aren't hidden. Our email addresses aren't hidden. Somebody just texted me from the Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, they got typos and all of that, so I know it's fake. It's from a weird WhatsApp number. But the point I'm trying to make is we have hackers that know these computers. What's the stuff? You're talking about the Take It Down Act. There are hackers that can actually do these viral videos, probably are doing them right now, launch them, looks just like somebody you know, celebrities, looks just like people who are politicians. And if we really got corruption, then those people are being paid and protected so that when things go left, oh, don't worry, you know, we got you. Just make a video of this politician, Jasmine Crockett, you know, and so dangerous. I want everybody to be aware. Stay up on this because I have no doubt now that Google has launched VO3, we could probably look to see other competitors that are going to look to one-up them, which means it's just going to get even more real. And I can't tell the difference now. So, I mean, and I like to think that I was pretty good at being the one that could tell my dad, no, Dad, that's AI. Like, now I can't tell the difference. So, all right, so here's our polling question to end the show. I want everyone's opinion. I'm putting it up on the screen right now. $1 million in reparations to leave. Let's say the administration offers you $1 million to leave and go and repatriate elsewhere, but on top of that, you get the country you're going into gets billions in funding for schools, building schools, billions in military funding, billions in infrastructure funding. Basically, it's everything that, if you read some of Thomas Jefferson's writings, his goal was to actually have Black America build, the descendants of those who were enslaved, to build elsewhere, to have their own land that they can build. And his goal was, he said that we should support them until they were a strong nation. And then it should be ties are cut, like here. So let's just say there's a deal made between America and a country like Liberia, which is the size of 5 New Jerseys, could easily house 15 million Americans, $1 million each. Yep. Get black with me, $1 million each to repatriate and build elsewhere. What percentage of Black Americans would leave? The U.S., the Federal Reserve will print the money. And she said, where will the U.S. get the money? That's not the question. The Federal Reserve will print the money, just like they're going to print the money to cover the deficit of the big, beautiful bill. What percentage of the 42, 43 million Black Americans are leaving? $1 million. This is how we're going to end the show. We got 3 minutes left. What percentage? Now, you could say a percentage or you could say a number. There's 42 to 43 million Black Americans. Offers on the table right now. We're going to pay you reparations, but it's going to be to leave. $1 million to leave. And y'all can go and y'all can build schools out there. You can build your military. We'll give you $1 billion a year in defense spending, just like we subsidize Israel's defense, and you guys can build your own military. You can take your generals, you can take your sergeants, your lieutenants, your Marines, your Navy, your Army, your Air Force, your Green Berets. Take them over there. Y'all go ahead, build over there. Infrastructure, we'll give you billions in infrastructure. Go build the roadways, go build the water systems, the irrigation systems, go build the energy grids, go do that. And each of you who leave, you get $1 million in reparations to leave. What percentage are leaving? Yeah, let me play the Jeopardy music. Let me play the Jeopardy music. Because I want to know. Oh, not the Jeopardy theme song. I want the Jeopardy music. 10 to 20%. Ooh. Is this the... There we go. There we go. Just take a guess. Get black with me. You know, like we're just speculating right now. That deal is inked tomorrow. Do we think more people? Now watch this. Let's say it's a limited time deal. Let's say it's a limited time deal. You got 4 years to take us up on the offer. After that, the offer's off the table. Benita said 10 to 20%. You think 10 to 20% will leave? So we would see between 4 and 8 million people leave. Who else wants to take a guess? Not an easy question. Not as easy as a question as we think. Everyone that I've asked has said they believe it's going to be a small number. So that's, look, we got a couple people watching. And I'm not holding you to it. It's literally just a poll. It's literally just a poll. I've heard numbers as small as 1%, and the highest that I've heard is less than 1 million people. Get black with me, so I have no idea. That's interesting. And that's interesting for me because right now we're seeing what's happening in Burkina Faso. We're seeing what's happening in Niger. We're seeing what's happening in Mali. We're seeing that right now. Why would the people who wouldn't go not go? That's the part for me. What is it about the people? Benita, you said you think 10 to 20% will go. I'm curious about what's in the heads of the 80 to 90% that you're saying wouldn't go. Because if you have an opportunity, we're seeing people go to Ghana. We're seeing people buy land in Ghana. They haven't awakened yet. That's tough. I hear you. I'm gonna tell you, that's your guess is probably it's that 20% is the highest I've seen, and that 10% is probably is the highest out of everyone I've heard so far. I think the highest was probably 10%, which was probably about a little under 5 million people, 4 million people total. And that just interests me, because we say, because at the end of the day, what are you gonna, if you're given the opportunity to go build everything we want from scratch and go build it, and we're giving our reparations to go build it, what keeps people here watching us build something amazing? I was gonna go lower, but I wanted to be hopeful for my people. That's good. Absolutely. That's what I wanted to end the show with, because I think that deal's gonna be on the table. And my hope would be the same. My optimism, Benita, would be the same for you. I do believe President Trump is going to pay us to lead. I think the society that benefits him and what he wants to build here is getting anyone out who doesn't want to be here. He's already getting people out who want to be here. That's costing him a lot of money. But there's a huge percentage of Black Americans that, for whatever reason, don't want to be here. They rather build elsewhere. They would prefer to build elsewhere. They prefer to be in a land where they can write the curriculum for the schooling. Instead of, we have a Department of Education that is pretty much going to be null and void at this point, behind Linda McMahon. So there's going to be no there's not going to be an education system that we can actually, we've already questioned it, or we would love to have reformed it. That's gone. So back to Africa movements are really old. No one likes to study the pros and cons and plan for a real viable opportunity. But we have. Listen, one thing about me, Get Black With Me, is, the scripture says, what man goes to do something without first counting the cost? There has been fundamental flaws in Back to Africa movements. But when we look at what President Lincoln and what President Jefferson said they wanted, they preferred. Lincoln said, if all earthly power was given to me, I would free all the slaves and send them to Liberia, to a nation of their own. So they didn't get to fulfill it. But if we're considering reverse engineering, because we ask ourselves, why did they fail? Why did they fail? You go in with no investment capital. You go in with which means you're just going back. So you're leaving a land that and some of your ancestors, because not everyone's from Africa, but you're leaving a land so some of you are leaving a land that your ancestors were stolen from, and you're just coming back with your own savings. You got 50 grand in the bank and you think you're going to build a country. It's not the way it works. You need infrastructure, you need military, you need subsidy, you need schools, so that we can build a common curriculum. We can speak a common language. The locals need to learn the language, and we need to be able to learn a culture. So it's reverse engineering. But at this particular point, I think you're going to see that deal on the table soon. You're going to see an offer to go and build elsewhere or stay here. And again, my biggest thing with you, Get Black With Me, is midterms. Because I know that you are optimistic about what you believe will happen in midterms. And just another president. And he's just going to be gone in another 4 years max. And maybe we can get him out before that. But I'm interested in when you see that doesn't happen. And when you see that he has taken guardrails off, he's in. And he's going to be in 2028. What do you want to do now? Now you don't have 3.5 years of President Trump left. You got 7.5 years of President Trump, and he's the king now. No check, no dick. He's the dictator now. No elections. So my job, I like to hedge. I like to hedge. If this happens, we go this way. Great. But you want to have a contingency plan. Because if you don't have a contingency plan, now you're caught out there. So that's why I asked the polling question. And I think, Benita, I think you are right. I think we'll see at max, based on everyone I've probably asked maybe 15 people, and everyone says it's a pretty low number. They think, maybe 500,000. And maybe there's a couple waves. You know what I'm saying? First wave goes, second wave goes, a year later. Hey, let's see what they do over there. But I think when we look at the long run, we'll consider, I think if we hit 10%, I think we did good. So that's what I want you guys to consider, because I would be remiss to be talking about these things that are happening, talking about things that are being rolled back. We're looking at an administration that has plans to be here in 2028. They're already every single day executing on a plan that they've had for many years to make sure that's why they were able to come in day one and sign 70 executive orders, because they were already operating under a plan. Nothing that they have planned has been stopped in 4 months, regardless of whether the Supreme Court rules against them, regardless of whether they're putting judges in prison, indicting judges, and we're 4 months in. So I think we need to, if we're not preparing for what is to come, then we're just going into, again, things are changing around us and we're just acting like it's the same. But nothing he's doing is being stopped. Executive orders are unraveling in real time. Nothing he's doing is going backwards. He wanted to do tariffs came. He wanted to do, we got empty shelves coming. 40% of ships that came from China going to the LA port were empty. We're going to see that in the next week or two, going into stores, empty shelves. So there's nothing that's going. Let's ask our brother, what's the gentleman's name who's in El Salvador right now? Had a tattoos on his knuckles that they said was MS-13, that they photoshopped MS-13 over the tattoos, and he's in El Salvador right now. This, we haven't seen, it ain't like somebody said, oh man, let's go get that guy. Stop playing. The student who protested and ended up getting deported because they tied her up with pro-Palestinian, gone. I don't see like things not working. I don't see it not working. I think everything that he's doing is working. The federal cop that was supposed to be sentenced 2 weeks ago for foul play was already found guilty. Before the sentencing, they came in, hey, we got a plea deal for you. I see everything that he's doing is working. We don't see people coming in. We see ICE. Mayor of Newark just got arrested. Congresswoman tied up in indictments. Did nothing wrong. Did nothing wrong. They just put a hold on to. I guarantee you, I will bet everything I own on it. Listen, and I teach in the car market. I guarantee you that if he wants tariffs to come, there will be tariffs. They cannot stop him. The Supreme Court cannot stop him. If he wants tariffs tomorrow, there will be tariffs tomorrow. It doesn't matter what they're saying. That's just what it shows. He put tariffs on 125% of China, started a trade war with China, boosted it up to 200, whatever it went to, got on the phone, all right, I'll lower it. Crashed the stock market, had nothing to do with the Supreme Court. They could say everything. He goes on that microphone and he says, hey, tariffs starting tomorrow. The world says tariffs start tomorrow. Supreme Court said, no, we're against tariffs. The world says tariffs start tomorrow. Trump always chicken out. I don't see it. I don't see it. So listen, I'm with you. I hear your opinion on it. I don't see it. I don't see anything that's showing that this guy is not winning. She's on the way back. They just released one of the students. Okay. Out of how many? The late effect of tariffs are coming. I agree, Benita. I agree. Like I said, Get Black With Me, you're very optimistic. And I'm never going to fault anybody. I'm never going to criticize anybody for being optimistic. But I'm here to talk about a contingency plan. Because again, I'm but anyway, the charges against the mayor was dropped. Yes, the charges against the mayor was dropped. But it also we can reach into federal we can reach into state litigation and move it. The federal government can reach into state litigation and make moves. This was never done before. We never saw a federal government reaching into a state police and saying, "Oh, hey, we're seeing the charges against Mayor Adams. That's a New York State case. Jay, drop the charges." So I hear you. Listen, we're gonna see. That is not my opinion. That is what the white folks are calling him. You can call him what he want. But we're going to see. We're going to continue to watch, and we're going to continue to report. So this is This Week in Black America. You know we are here every Friday, 12 p.m. We normally try to wrap up about 1:30. Good discussion towards the end. We will be back. My brother Curtis will be back from Jamaica by my side next week. We look forward to continually report on what's happening every week, get you guys' opinions on it, and get you guys input. Anything you catch that we didn't catch, definitely share it with us. We want to make sure that if whatever happens during the week, if you were busy all week working with your family and you had no time to catch up, you can come here on Fridays and you can hear about what happened. All right. So thank you so much. Get Black With Me, Bonita. Thank you to Cyber Lady. Thank you to everyone who continues to check in with us on Facebook and YouTube. We invite you to subscribe to the YouTube page, and we look forward to continually being your source for the week's happenings. All right. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week.